Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the Hobby Lore Podcast, where we discuss all manner of wargaming and tabletop-related pastimes in order to educate, entertain, or aggravate.
Hey, everybody.
I'm your host, Patrick, from Bombshell Miniatures, and this is...
Vicky.
Yay!
Also of Bombshell Miniatures.
Yes, we both are. How about that? What an amazing thing.
Oh, my gosh. What's amazing?
Well, it's amazing that we're doing another podcast.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Okay. All right, cool. This has been a lot of fun. This is episode 3. So last week we were talking about, I don't know what we were talking about last week.
We were talking about
what is a hobby?
Things that,
okay,
make up a hobby.
Yeah. Well, this week we're gonna talk about the inspiration for that hobby. You know, like what are we inspired? What are we inspired by? What can you be inspired by? All that kind of thing.
Pretty much everything.
Everything. And we've got a big list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So before we get into all that, normally we're going to go into our hobby activities this week and talk about stuff that we did and stuff that we wanted to do that we didn't get to and that kind of thing. So, did you want to start off with that, with your hobby adventures this week?
No. Well, I will. Let's see. Hobbies that I worked on this week was painting and sketching mostly.
Okay. Well, what did you do painting wise?
Well, basically I was continuing painting stuff for us. Let's see. Painting the Tepe 75 and the Vivian bust.
Yeah, no, I saw the Tepe stuff that you were working on now. Because you're doing like a Black Jaguar kind of.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm hoping I can do it justice. I think there's some places that I was like, okay, I think I went a little too far. So now it's a little too dark. And I'm going to have to go back on certain areas and kind of try to pull out some highlights without it being too much.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's going to be a little tricky. I don't know. Maybe it won't be quite as tricky as I'm afraid it'll be, but anyway, she's coming along.
Okay.
Because I'm going to do her fur. I want to get all her fur done first, and then I'm thinking about spraying that with like a gloss finish.
Okay.
To kind of seal that, and then go back and do the rest of her her loincloth and her headdress and her jewelry and weapons and all that stuff.
Okay.
So, but I kind of am hoping that her fur looks, glossy.
Yeah.
It looks kind of,
it's got kind of a sheen
to it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just being very flat and dull looking.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of going for that with that, and maybe that'll work the way I want it to.
Okay. And you were doing some sketching too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically working on sketching for the sidekick stuff, because I'm working on stuff for characters for Hissington Ridge too, so.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of playing around with that, and I'm very inspired for that stuff by the pen and ink styles like Bloom County and Calvin and Hobbes and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you're pushing it
it's
to more
very loose.
Like because it seems like the Calvin and Hobbes inking style is a little bit looser than like, say, Bone or even Bloom County is pretty tight. I don't
know. They seem very similar
looser
to me.
Yeah.
I like the simplicity of it.
Uh-huh.
Maybe loose is not the correct terminology, but it just seems like a a simpler kind of freer style, and I really like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the expressions, and the flow of the movement of the characters and everything. So it's very evocative of like drawing for animation to me.
Yeah.
I really like it.
Yeah. So you're looking at something that's a little more relaxed kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not quite a real tight, stiff, super detailed kind of thing.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Kind of illustration.
But you're still working in kind of a like a really highly stylized, very cartoony kind of a.
Yeah, and I love
look.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so I've just been, playing around with that stuff and trying to loosen up the old drawing muscles and get back into it and stuff. It's tough after a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, man.
Yeah, but you're having fun. I mean, it's like you're enjoying the process.
I'm loving the heck out of it.
That's the important thing. Is that it's because results will come later. As you're working on it. So.
I get a little. I get frustrated with some of it. It's like, oh my gosh, this is when you're not getting the results you want. But it is a fun process.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying doing it again.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing some of those designs that you're coming up with.
Yeah.
For that,
I'm glad to have time to do that again.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I did a little bit of hobbying stuff this week that's, outside of my normal work stuff.
Yeah, see, you did stuff that for me I know a lot of people get enjoyment out of putting the models together.
Mm-hmm.
And I see, when we watch stuff on YouTube, I see a lot of folks talking about, how meditative and zen, it is for them to do that.
It really is.
I don't get that from that. I'm just like, ah.
Well, now, have you ever put any of the like plastic kits together like that? Like, okay. Well, and the reason that I ask is because the Skaven are imminent.
I know. Okay. They're supposed to be here tomorrow.
Yeah. So yeah. Excited. Right. So, well, on the one hand, you're excited, but on the other hand, you're probably dreading. It's like, oh, you got to put a bunch of rats together. But I mean,
I don't know. Well, I mean, do I have to put them together, or you're gonna make me?
No, yeah, you're gonna. They're your rats. You're gonna put them.
You're gonna make me put them together.
Yeah, and that's.
They're gonna look terrible.
No, they're. Well, no, they're not. They fit together a particular way. So
they do.
Yeah. Okay, but look. Okay, going back
There's
to
going to be super glue all over the place.
No, there's not, because one, we're not using super glue for that. We're using model glue, and model glue is not actually a glue. It's a solvent. Okay, so it actually
that doesn't sound good.
Now, well, I mean, it doesn't dissolve skin. Okay, it dissolves a little layer of the plastic and softens it so that the next little layer of plastic will kind of melt into it. They bond. It forms a molecular bond. Yeah. Okay, and so it's very safe, in that regard. Okay, but the thing about it is, like you were, let's go back to the
famous
Zen.
Last words.
Yeah, right. The Zen thing that you had talked about is that, okay, so like for me when I'm building something, because like the thing that I was working on was the little dune buggies, right?
Right.
So I had put one together last week. Well, I got the second one assembled, so now I have two.
Now he has two.
Yes. So, but I've still got to put the weapons together. I worked out the weapon mount for the pieces that I'm going to sculpt for that, and then 3D print for the weapons.
Didn't you do like a special guy?
I did.
Kitbashed a special guy to go on?
I did. I went into the and we were talking about the Tempestus Scions, right? And they're kind of like the elite of the elite Imperial Guard guys, or Astra Militarum as they're known now by trademark. So, and they used to be called stormtroopers back in the day.
Oh wow!
Right? Okay. Yeah. So but that aside, okay. So they have a very particular armor that they have. It's got these trim and this decoration and stuff on it. And I kind of wanted those for the turret guys, because I'm using these not as the stuff from Necromunda, but they're going to be little proxy vehicles in my Astra Militarum army. So I'm doing them all in the desert scheme and stuff like that. Kind of harkens back to Rat Patrol. I think we talked about that a little bit in the last episode.
Yeah. I remember Rat Patrol.
Yeah. So I kind of want to do that with it, okay. But anyway, I'm
going to be making my own Rat Patrol.
You'd be exactly with actual rats. Yeah.
With bombs.
Yes. So I got the second one assembled for that, and so now all I got to do is put the weapons on them. And the next thing I'm going to do is primer them and get them ready to paint. And I'll be shooting video of that process. In addition to I shot video of the conversion build and everything, so I can make a video of this is the steps that I took.
Oh, that's cool.
Guys. So I've got all that documented. The other thing that I did was I worked a little bit more on my Necromunda tile that I have. Okay, so I'm doing the 80s.
Oh, yeah, the
80s video arcade, right?
Yep.
Okay, so and then this is kind of, we'll talk about that in the next segment of stuff that I saw this week, which is
what I saw of that. It's coming along really well.
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
I like the alcoves. It's looking pretty cool.
Yeah, the little alcoves are cool looking.
Yeah, that's working out really nice.
And I had to kind of, they were windows. There were windows in those alcoves, so I had to go in and block those out. And then I printed those out. So it's kind of like a digital kit bashing on that. So there's an opening in one side where the little video game consoles are going to go. And then the other side, there's a wall. There's a wall there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got those other pieces printed out. And so I think I've got enough parts now to assemble the first level. And then once I get that laid out, then I can kind of determine, okay, well, this is how much I need of the other stuff. And because I want to do 3 levels high, to make it a pretty significant chunk of terrain.
Yeah, and I think that'd be something that'd be cool to play on too.
Oh, yeah.
Having that multi-leveled aspect as well as, running around.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm not sure what the standard Necromunda size is, but this is it's a 12-inch tile. So it's just a 1 foot, it's a square foot, right?
Yeah.
So if I was going to do, say, a 3-foot board, then I would need to still make, 8 more tiles of something.
Yeah.
So I want to use this as kind of like the centerpiece, where it's like, as I build additional tiles, then there'll have like little walkways or whatever to the little arches on those upper levels where you can get to them and that kind of stuff. So that's my thought on that. So, but anyway, so I got that printed, and then I did some dry fitting, just to test to make sure that all the pieces fit like I was thinking they were going to fit. And it looks pretty cool. So now I can really start mapping out, well, this is where I'm going to run the wiring for the electronics and all that. And then the second thing is I worked on the consoles to go with that. So I built one of the...
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I built the first console for that, which is based on the Asteroids arcade game. So it's the same silhouette as Asteroids. And really happy with how that looked. I've still got to put the little buttons and like the coin slots and stuff on it. And then when I get that done, which I may work on a little bit later today, but I'm going to test print them out and see, okay, well, make sure the size is right and, the height and everything, that it'll fit in the alcoves and that kind of stuff. But I've got 2 more styles that I want to make that are a little bit different shapes. So there's some variety on that.
Yeah. So you can just, are you going to like take that one and then modify it to make the other ones? Or, because it'd have all the, the screen and the controls and all that stuff, and then you're just going to take that and change it up or something?
No, actually, well, the only thing that's going to be consistent across all of the arcade consoles is just the screen.
Oh,
Because I
okay.
want to be able to print the screens in clear resin because I want to backlight them.
Right.
So what I did was I designed the little screen piece that's going to be the clear part. And then I created a cutter object that, because each one of the consoles is going to be carved out of a digital block. Basically, it's just a cube. And I just cut it, in the shape that I want, and then hollow it out so that it's
Right.
less resin to,
Exactly.
And so it's got an open bottom so that it'll, we can clean it out. It'll be this little shell, basically, what it is.
Right.
And that way you can put lighting and stuff. Like what I'm going to do is put the
You
LEDs
can run
up,
the LEDs up in
up
it.
through the bottom of it. Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to take that same cutter object, and once I carve out the shapes of the other consoles, then I can just put that cutter object in it where the screen goes and then cut the same shape out. So the screen will fit. It'll be the same size on all the consoles.
Right. So
Yeah.
you're just printing out okay.
Yeah,
I
but
see
there-
where you're going with that.
But there will be different shapes.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. So, and a little bit different configuration. So anyway, yeah, that's what I was doing.
Cool.
And then the other thing was I built a bunch of little guys, which was kind of fun because I haven't kit bashed anything for a while other than the turret part on that.
Are you
the
talking
Dune
about your little skull guy?
Yeah, the little skull guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So what I did was I went and dug through all of the like the spare arms off of the arcoflagellants, and then I got that box of the plastic skulls from Citadel. And I thought, well, it would be cool since I had all these extra pieces left over from putting the flagellants together. There's like all these whippy arms that look like mechadendrites and little tendrils and things, coming out of the bottom of them, like most of the other ones have. So I thought, well, I could glue those together and stick them on a base, and then I would have like a bunch of different little servo skull things as different characters and stuff. And I know you've been working on your sidekick game, but I thought what would be funny would be to put like a whole proxy kill team together of nothing but little guys, right? So there's like little robot, like the cat robots,
Yes.
from Space Hulk, and from
That's
the what is it? The Navy Breachers have the little cat. They also have a servo skull.
Oh my god.
And there's a servo skull in the Sanctifiers set. So I thought, well, some of them already have rules, and there's like little dogs, like the Adeptus Arbites have, or Arbites.
those yeah,
They have
those
the
little
cyber mastiff.
dogs.
Mhm, yeah,
Yeah,
they
the
have that.
cyber dogs. See, you ought to put together. That's a great idea. I
Yeah.
love that. And
Yeah.
it's like because you could make like special named
Right.
things.
Yeah, exactly right.
And they have special things about them, and then the other regular guys.
Yeah.
They have like tons of them. It's like, oh, here's my kill team of like 10 guys, and it's like, oh, here's my kill team of a skrillion of these little things.
Yeah, yeah. It's all of the little sidekick things.
That's
or whatever.
hilarious.
I thought that would be super funny to run a whole, just to try that out.
I think
But-
that'd be fun to do, and then see how those things. See how my Tyrannid killed team did. 'Cause they'd be like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
the
yeah.
bugs being bugged by itty bitty things.
That would
That'd be hilarious.
right. So anyway, so that was my thinking on that, and that's so I started working on those guys. I built like 3 little custom.
Are you
Servo
doing
skulls.
videos of that, right?
Yeah, no, I shot all the footage of like
Okay, yeah,
going through
'cause-
and picking out the parts and gluing them, like all the things I had to cut. And it's man, and the skulls are like 5 millimeters high. So going in and putting this, and they're just skulls, okay, right? But
Yeah.
but in 40K, the servo skulls have like augments and stuff on them.
Right.
So there's like mechanical eyes and other like sensor things and stuff on them. So
And they had like one picture you showed me. They had like hoses coming off of them.
Right, yeah.
And are you going to do some where they've got the little melted candles on top of them and stuff?
I didn't out of the ones that I put together this time, but I may go back.
I would.
and-
Yeah.
well,
do some later.
yeah, but the like that's what I'm saying. The skulls are so small. It's like the candles would be microscopic. I mean, they would
Well,
just be
yeah.
two tiny to
Maybe
put 'em
you
on
could do like one candle on it,
it. Yeah, right.
like one melted
So
candle.
one melted candle sticking out of the top of his
Sticking out
head.
of the top.
Yes. Yeah.
They could be skunk skulls.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a unit of skunk skulls, and they light everything up. So,
That would be funny.
Yeah.
And you could do a little bit of source lighting and stuff on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was what I got done this week, was just kind of messing with that stuff. They came
That's
out pretty
pretty
cool, so
cool.
I'm looking forward to posting them, and I'll probably post pictures of them as they're done, like just the conversions of them, and then when I do the painting and stuff on them, then I'll be able to finish up the video and that. So it's probably still like a week or two out on getting all that done, but yeah, I thought they turned out pretty fun.
Yeah,
So,
I thought it was a great idea.
yeah. Thanks.
I liked that.
Cool. Well, speaking of great ideas, let's hear from this episode's sponsor.
Bombshell Miniature? This podcast is sponsored by Bombshell Miniatures for all your miniature agnostic games. If you're looking for something a little different for Necromunda's new racing rules or other racing games like Gaslands, look no further. We have a fun selection of retro and futuristic rocket bikes to make sure your team stands out. And I hear if you paint them red, they go faster. Be sure to check them out at bombshellminis.com.
Okay, and thanks for this week's sponsor. Looking forward to checking out more of those rocket bikes.
Yay!
Or the
Do you have a favorite?
a favorite rocket bike?
Yeah. Because I know you like several of the ones you did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. I think my favorite design on that is I don't know what they're called. So it's the one with the rounded nose on the front of it. I mean, you package them up more than I do. I sculpted them once and stuck them in the web store. I don't ever see them.
Okay. There's one, you're not talking about the one that's based on the Streamline trailers.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Windrunner?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's your favorite?
Yeah, I like that one.
With the grill?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah, it gives me vibes, and I don't know if this was conscious or unconscious. Like when I was working on it, was Luke's land speeder, because it's got that rounded nose,
yeah,
and the grill that runs along the front of it, and then the engines and stuff on the back.
Well, oddly enough, when I was and I need to go back and finish this stuff up, but when I was converting it to kind of using the Gaslands rules to come up with the racing game for that, it's like, okay, well, the Windrunner was the speedy. You know, if you wanted the super fast bike, that's the speedy bike.
It's lightly armored and it's more maneuverable.
Yeah.
And
It's lighter. Yeah, it's got not very much armor, but it's a lot faster and it's more agile and
that makes sense.
Yeah,
I
and
can
all
see
that. But yeah.
Okay. Well, without going further into the rocket bikes and stuff, I believe that we have an episode, or not an episode, but a segment of Cat Chat that you wanted to talk about.
Well, to continue Cat Chat. Yeah, and this was going to be how the cats got their names.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
How the cats got their names.
Yeah, how the cats got their names. And that's you.
Yeah.
Because even though I tried to think up names for the cats, you always came up with better names. So I don't know.
I don't know if they're better. I think that's just lazy. It's like is it more like an ink blot where it's free association? I mean, you look at a thing and associate it with another thing.
I don't know. I don't know how that works for you. But
so.
I mean, like, so Shastan, we were trying to come up with a name for him, and you named him after.
Right. Okay. So you had written a bunch of short stories and stuff based on our. Well, it was the Star Wars campaign at the time.
Yeah.
But then you converted a bunch of that stuff over to.
Well, I did like backstory.
Well, it's backstory
for my character.
Well, right. But we rolled some of that into the counterblast stuff for the
Yeah.
Shrenar because
Yeah.
they're cat people,
Yeah.
you know. And so was it the chief? It was like the
Yeah,
leader.
he was the chief, or the Anuwat, as they call him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
But he was the chief of their group,
Right.
their tribe.
yeah, so when we got him, we went to the what is it, the
The pet
adoption
rescue.
yeah the adoption
cat
event.
rescue.
And we saw him there, and I looked at him knowing that he was going to be a longer hair cat, when he got older, because he still had relatively short fur when we got him at 6 months. When I looked at him, I just thought with the blue eyes and the way that he looked, I was like, well, this has got to be like Shastan, like from when I was reading the story. So that was why I suggested
Oh, wow. Okay.
that I suggested we name him that. And so then that kind of stuck, so we couldn't really think of anything else. So it's like, okay, so we called him Shastan.
Yep.
And then the next year we got
Nateri.
the little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we had adopted her from John Bono, from a litter that he had rescued, and he got her sister Bean, okay, the same age, right, because they were out of the same litter.
Right.
And sadly, she passed away.
She recently passed.
Last
yeah.
month, or it was right before. I think it was right before Adepticon.
Was it?
Yeah, because I remember you telling me before when we were getting ready for the thing, which is. I mean, I understand that because Dentiri was sick last year, and we were able to get her meds and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And she bounced back, and now she's like, but when when we brought her
Fat
home,
and sassy now.
I think because you came and got her, because I was at ReaperCon and you were still at home.
Well, I was there, but John brought her to me, and I mean, she fit in the palm of my hand. She was so tiny,
Right.
and but I brought her back home, and it was just me and her for the first few days, and it was funny because, she was a itty bitty little thing, and we had this big wicker laundry basket.
It was a clothes hamper.
Yeah,
thing.
a clothes hamper thing. And she clambered up that and got on the top, and I was like, well, now what are you going to do? Because she got up there and she's like looking around, and she just, I don't know, she just trusted me. She just leapt off of it. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, because compared to how little she was way up there.
That's a long way to the floor.
And I caught her, but man, she just was no fear.
Yeah, just fearless.
I mean, she's striped,
right,
and she's a beautiful cat.
Yeah,
she's always been very.
Right. Well, I remember you telling me that story because like I said, you were at home when that happened, and I was at ReaperCon as one of their sculptor things. Okay. And so I remember you telling me that on the phone.
Yeah.
And I said, well, then we should call her Natiri. Yeah. Because, after the Avatar movie, because she's
fearless and beautiful.
Exactly. And she just leapt off this thing, and that reminded me of her doing that in the movie. So that stuck.
Yeah.
And that was okay. So that was 14 years ago now, because
she's going on 15. She's 14 right now.
Right.
Yeah. And then there's Lilu.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's that was an awesome name. I thought that was brilliant inspiration because she's orange and white.
Yeah.
She dropped in on us quite unexpectedly.
Right.
We were
not expecting that.
We were not expecting a cat, but that happened, and she's the fifth.
Yeah, she's the fifth element of our household.
That's right.
Right. So now I don't know that I'd call her perfect like Lilu in the movie is supposed to be, but because she's a rascal at times.
Oh my gosh, is she ever?
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's where I came up with those names.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
I guess it's just an exercise in free association, I suppose. But
okay.
Anyway. Yeah. So
there's a bunch of information you probably didn't care to know about.
Here's some stuff you may want to know about. Here's some stuff that we saw this week.
Okay.
So there was one thing that you saw this week that you wanted to talk about. Actually, there's two things.
Oh, let me get my notes right side up. That might help.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, this kind of is going to lead into our topic thing. But yeah, first thing was we watched Ninja on YouTube about the Skaven he painted for the City of Ash,
Right.
which we're getting supposedly tomorrow. So yeah, that was really cool. And I liked what he did, but I think I'm gonna approach it with a limited palette, kind of like how he did for my group.
Right.
And but I think I may I like the blue and purple for the ninja-esque look. You know, I like that very much.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Well, you can work out your own colors.
Yeah,
Like I'm sure you'll.
I may alter some of the colors a little bit.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Anyway,
But
we'll see.
But the process that he used, as
Oh,
far
yeah, I
as
love
like
it.
you know doing the underpainting and then painting, and there's no airbrush. It's all just
Right.
paintbrush. And there again, he was using a limited palette. Okay, so he picked out 5 colors off of his little color card thing, which we'll probably mention in the topic under the inspiration stuff. But so you can pick out your own colors, like
Sure.
like whatever. But I like his approach to like, okay, well, I'm just going to use these colors, and
I kind of like that. It's helpful to me because it helps speed things along.
Right.
Because you're not like spending oodles of time getting lost down the rabbit hole of, oh, I want this color for this little thing and this color for this thing. And
Right.
when you kind of limit it, it kind of forces you to get a little more creative with your color, with how you're painting your minis. So.
Right. Yeah. What you're representing on the model.
Yeah.
And I think that's better because at the scale that we're painting in, right, a lot of the times that they're so small that having just limited colors on it is more homogeneous, because it's like, well, there's a little bit of color in this, or there's a little bit of color in that part, even though they're different objects or different materials.
And one thing I find is that at that scale, having like, when you start getting lots and lots of different colors, it becomes harder and harder to make things out.
Right. It becomes really busy.
Yeah.
And there's too much information going on. And I think by simplifying
I just like
the colors,
that approach.
Yeah.
I think it helps me as a painter just to kind of help speed up my process, and it kind of helps force me into a kind of nice creative exercise. So
exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
No, that's cool. And so the other thing that you saw was there was an unboxing or unbagging video.
I'm probably gonna, I apologize if I don't say this correctly. It's like Witta Goblin?
Witty Goblin. I think she goes by Witty
Is
Goblin.
it Witty or Witta?
Well, I think it's
it may not be either one.
it's a derivative of Little Goblin of some kind. So it's like Witty Goblin.
But anyway, she had a unboxing of, kind of like an unboxing of her, I think it was her swag that she got from Adepticon.
It was the Adepticon swag bag this year. Yeah, and it had tons of stuff in it.
Man, it had all kinds of cool stuff in it.
Yeah.
But anyway, one thing, okay, this is so off the wall, but one thing she had was this little package of pigs. And and just seeing that, it kind of got me thinking about the Sidekick Scuffle game that I'm working on. And I was like, oh, pigs, 3 little pigs, and the big bad wolf. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do little pig sidekicks and then do a boss sidekick that's the big bad wolf.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a straw pig, a lumberjack pig, and a brick pig,
right,
and the monstrous mean wolf.
There you go.
So yeah.
And this is some of the stuff you've been sketching too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I did some sketches of that, and I kind of played around with some different ideas, but initially I started out like the wood pig was gonna be a wood pig that was like wood crafts, because I had seen like wood crafts that were like cows and ducks and stuff like that. I was like, well, you could do a woodcraft pig. And then you started talking about, well, it's kind of weird because the straw pig and the brick pig were actual like pigs.
Yeah.
And then the wood pig, man, I'm like, yeah, but they're sidekicks and there's different kinds and it could be different. And then you were like, well, what if it was a lumberjack pig? And I was like, hey, that's a great idea. Because then it could have an axe and a log and a...
Right. Well, as you were describing the other ones, they seem to be more occupations. It's okay. Well, this one's a that and the. And so that was why I thought, well, that's the direction that you're going. That is, it'd be like a lumberjack pig.
Yeah,
but
I'm
anyway.
a lumberjack pig.
Yeah.
And
right.
I'm okay.
Yeah. So I guess that's what he's going to wind up being.
Yeah, I think he's going to be because I like that it's like he has ways to battle.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like,
then other than it just being like a little
wood cutout.
Of
It's like, well, I mean, he could be supernatural or magic and have things, but you know, and I may do something like that at some point, but yeah,
I get it. So okay.
So that just goes to show you never know where inspiration will come from.
That's right. Tying right back into our main topic. You never know where that's going to come from.
Watching a YouTube video and somebody's unboxing stuff they got at Adepticon, it's like, oh my gosh, that's a great,
right.
That's a great idea.
That's funny. No, I'm looking forward to.
So thanks.
Witty Goblin. Thanks, Witty. For the inspiration. That's great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. One of the things that I saw this week was very disturbing to me.
Okay, so scared to ask.
So in the last episode, I was talking about seeing, because we were talking about movies and trailers and stuff in one of the segments. And so no sooner had you and I talked about that with my phone listening.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Big Brother's listening.
Right.
That's right.
Then I went, like the next morning, I was just scrolling through my Facebook feed, and like the third or fourth post that came up in that was this meme. Okay. And the meme was attached to what I'm assuming was an AI article that was custom written about this topic and posted. Wow. Because when I went to the page, it's like a movie page, right? It's like, like cinema something or other. I don't know. I can't remember what it's called.
Okay.
But, so I went, and there's only 17 posts on this page. So it's relatively new, but it says that there's thousands and thousands of subscribers to it.
How is that possible?
That's what I wanted to know. But the meme, so when I talked about, I went to watch this movie, and I only went to see it because of the trailer for The Phantom Menace. Okay, right? So I got this meme that came up in my feed, and basically on the top of it is a scene. It's just a screenshot of Meet Joe Black. Okay. And then underneath that is a screenshot of Jake Lloyd, or as Anakin, right, from The Phantom Menace. It's just those two pictures stacked on top of each other. And then the text at the bottom of the meme says, in 1998, some people literally bought movie tickets just to watch the first Phantom Menace trailer on the big screen and then left. Those that did that back then, what's your experience? Okay, and so then there's like a bunch of comments and stuff on the post. And there's like a little article, a text article attached to this where it described, how Steve Jobs said, oh, this is the biggest thing, and it almost crashed our servers because so many people were trying to like download, watch it on the Apple trailers and stuff like that. So I was very disturbed by that, because that's a topic that you
unsettling.
And I were just talking about. This is extremely targeted as a specific topic. And
And for that, the coincidence of that to come up in your feed, like,
right.
after we talk about that,
Right.
it's like, that's kind of
So
creepy.
my first impulse is that there's some kind of AI entity out there in the Matrix that's listening to our stuff and then using its abilities to generate a meme out of this topic and then generating text and posting automatically to this Facebook feed. And and then targeting it specifically to me because it heard me talking about it from my phone.
Yeah, because that didn't come up on mine.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's up with that?
That is
what's that
weird.
about?
That's
So-
pretty odd.
Anyway, yeah, so that's a thing that I saw. And it's like,
okay.
I wanted to pass that along in case you've also experienced that. Please put down in the comments whether that's happened to you, because that's becoming more and more alarming that this targeted advertising type of stuff is happening.
Man,
like that.
I got chills.
Yeah. Isn't that creepy?
Ugh.
Yeah. Okay. So, some of the other stuff that I saw this week is a lot more fun and not as
Let's get away from creepy
as
stuff.
scary as that is.
Yeah.
I started reading the Paragons of Faith. Actually, I was listening to it as an audiobook as I was working on hobby stuff. So that's super cool because it's a bunch of, there's a couple of novels in it that are Adeptus Sororitas oriented, and then there's a bunch of little short stories at the end of it. So that was fun because I got that last year, and so I started that up. So very interesting stories in there.
Cool.
The other thing that I saw was I misspelled Musketeers. Anyway, so I watched the Three Musketeers movie. Actually, we ran that while we were having breakfast. And this is like it's the Paul W.S. Anderson movie. You know, he did the.
Yeah, it's very. Well, I don't know if steampunk's the right
No,
word,
it's
but it's
steampunk. I mean, it's got the sky ship
well,
things.
yeah, it's
and,
got the airships and all that. I mean, oh my gosh, the Gatling cannon. And,
right. Well, there's
there's flamethrower.
There's other gadgets and stuff in it that also
stuff,
make it
yeah.
very steampunk like.
Yeah.
Even though
pretty-
it's set before steam was a thing. Okay.
Yeah. It's
but
off the chain, that's for sure.
it certainly is. And this is, like I said, it's the Paul W.S. Anderson directed that, and he did the Resident Evil stuff and that kind of thing. So, and of course Mila Jovovich is in it as Lady de Winter.
Lady de Winter.
So, and the reason that I was watching this was one, I hadn't seen it in a while, and I kind of wanted to revisit that.
It's got a fantastic cast.
It is. Well, yeah, the cast in it is amazing. So I don't know.
They're awesome.
Yeah. But the other thing is like her costuming in as Lady de Winter, and there's like a little section where she does some sword fighting and all this. So I thought it would be kind of fun to sculpt a character that was sort of like that. As
a sort of Lady de
sort
Winter.
of Lady de Winter kind of a character. So I was looking at that as a little inspiration. And then the other thing that I saw was Tron. And I went back and revisited Tron because I'm working on my 80s video arcade for the Necromunda tile thing, right?
Good
So I thought, okay,
inspiration for that.
yeah, and so the outside of it shows the exterior and the interior, right, at the beginning of it, and so I got an idea of like the sign. I want to do a sign like that that's lit up that says Flams instead of Flins, right? So I went and tried to find some fonts that were similar to that. And then I looked at how the video game consoles were arranged in there. And it's very cramped because it's a small arcade kind of thing. And how I'm going to do it is a little bit more spread out, but it should still have the same kind of feel to it, but grim dark, Necromunda-like.
Yeah.
So I watched through that again. And then I went down a rabbit hole because then I went and looked up a couple of like documentaries on like how they did the Tron thing. And so I ran some of that, and it was a very involved codolith process where they shot them against a black screen, and then they started out against a white screen, and that didn't work as well. So they shot the costumes against a black screen, and then they had the frames printed on these like animation cell sized codolith prints, and then went in and painted stuff by hand, and then backlit it. And then they did the
Wow.
compositing. There was like 5 layers of compositing for each one of those shots.
Oh, wow.
And what was really interesting to me about that is like, this was 1982, I think was when that came out. Okay. And this whole process of like taking live action characters and shooting them against a backdrop and then putting them in an environment didn't come along until way later in, like, after 1993, when CGI became an actual, process for making films and stuff. But this was pioneered like a decade before that as a concept, but the technology wasn't there.
Yeah. It hadn't caught up.
It hadn't caught up to it. So it was so looking at that, I was amazed at, like, oh man. So the idea of it existed way before, George Lucas, talking about the Phantom Menace again, had started. Oh, we're just going to shoot all the characters in live action, and then we're just going to create all these environments and put them in it, and all that.
Yeah.
So that was really amazing. Anyway, so that's stuff that we saw this week. I guess we're going to go on to the main topic now.
Yeah. The inspiration. Even though we've kind of been talking about that quite a bit.
We've talked a little bit about inspiration.
Yeah.
So, I guess what I want to try to find is my notes for what I was looking at. Yeah. So.
Yeah, because you don't keep that stuff in your head.
I don't. I can't keep stuff in my head.
Dumps RAM. That's how his brain works. It's like, oh, that's not my RAM anymore. Like,
right. Okay. Yeah. So your cousin called us yesterday about, like, well, hey, what kind of a router do you have? It's like, I don't know what kind of.
Well, I don't know, because I don't know.
Right. So I don't remember. I mean, so I had to look at my Amazon order history and do a search on that to see what the
router is.
The one that I had replaced last year was, well, like, what,
Yeah, but we've replaced ours like at least once, if not twice, since we've been out here.
Right. The one up at the front of the house is new.
Yeah.
The one that was out here in the shop was the old one. And that was the one that I replaced in October.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I know we've replaced them, and they're like, yeah, we've had that for 30 years.
I don't see how.
My goodness.
It's probably like just drip feeding them internet. Like,
I'm like, how did you not need a new one before?
They've got they didn't even have routers 30 years ago. It's like, well, I mean, what are they talking about?
I don't know. So I guess they were exaggerating.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, it's like they've had it a long time, I'm sure.
Right. Okay. So this week we're going to be talking about where to find inspiration for miniature painting and model conversions.
Yeah.
And other hobby things.
The easy answer is you can pretty much find it anywhere.
Right.
So,
right. And,
but I mean, I don't know, because we watch a lot of movies.
We watch a lot of movies.
We both love movies and watch a lot of them, and I get a lot of inspiration. You know what? I get inspiration for well, I don't know if it's dioramas, but terrain and stuff. And yeah, I guess dioramas too, from stuff in movies, because I really would like to build a tiered village, like a tiered medieval fantasy kind of village.
Yeah.
With the shops, and maybe the people live in the upstairs of the shop or something.
Right.
And then there's like a castle.
Oh, like
the
on
end.
On the upper
On the upper end of it. And it's like a little island, like Entangled.
Oh, okay, right.
It's the little island kingdom. And I also love the tower that that they lived in. So I'd kind of like to, I don't know if I want to do an exact replica of it, but I'd kind of like to do a tower like that, because I liked all the vegetation, the ivy, and the stuff growing on it and everything. I thought it looked really cool.
That's cool. Well, so when you're talking about building that, are you thinking about making it out of like crafting materials, like foam and like bricks and stuff like that?
Yeah, or cardboard or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, just doing it by hand and whatnot, that'd be cool. And To me, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
And then, like, another thing I've thought about doing for years and years and years is
Oh, yeah.
the ziggurat
Mm-hmm.
with the predators at the top, and then all the aliens running up.
Yeah, the
and
xenomorphs
stuff,
coming
all
up the, yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
I've wanted to do that forever. And since we found all those old metal hormagaunts,
Mm-hmm.
all those old metal hormagaunts that are basically like real easy to turn into aliens. Since I found a bunch of those, I'm like, oh yeah, that I hadn't done anything with.
Mm-hmm.
It's like maybe I can use them and dig out my other ones and kind of redo them, and then I'd have enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I have a lot of.
Well, the thing about that is as you know, when you were talking about doing that, you know, converting those, there weren't alien miniature, or there were, but they were hard to find. They were just those,
Yeah.
you know, the little metal
Oh
ones
yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
leading
I
edge
remember
games.
those because I've got the Queen.
Yeah, I think Bob Rodolphe sculpted
He
those.
sure did.
Yeah. Okay, so the thing about that is now, with the proliferation of 3D printing, well, you could have any number of xenomorph models,
Well, that's true.
and just infinitely print as many of them as you want,
Yeah.
you know, in different running
Positions. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then glue them on there.
Because that's what I liked about those things is like some of them are like leaping way out, and then some are just caught in the act of, you know, right when they're launching, and
Mm-hmm.
then some of them are crouched, and, you know,
Yeah.
so they all look really. You could get a real varied look
Mm-hmm.
where it just looks like they're just swarming up. Of course, it'd be a ton of stuff to paint and everything.
Right. Well, the thing about xenomorphs are they're mostly black, so there's a lot of, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of base coating in it, you know. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
That'd be fun.
yeah.
I think another thing I'd want to do is like putting all these. I think I'd want to put a lot of Easter eggs in it,
Right.
like
right.
for people to find on it. So
Yeah.
I may have to get after that project and start putting that together.
Uh-huh. Well, and it would be fun doing the tiered ziggurat, you know,
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
uh-huh.
And then you'd have the, you know, the alien, not the alien, the predator
Mm-hmm.
or the predators, because I think there were like 2 or 3 of them on the top.
Well,
in the
it showed some
movie.
like in the background.
Yeah,
there.
they're standing up there
Mhm.
with their spears and stuff. And
Right.
So, yeah, I may have to revisit that movie and
Mhm.
kind of check that scene out again.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of places like, you know, movies like that and TV shows and books and stuff that will feed you ideas.
Oh yeah,
You know, for example, I was reading this Adeptus Sororitas book like years ago,
right.
and they were talking about that because it was, I think it was in Black and White or something like that, or Faith and Fire, where they had gone back to their monastery world or something. These sisters that it got wiped out and they had left, and now they're coming back to reclaim it. And it's kind of on its desert world, and they've got this monastery fortress. Well, when they're going in with their Imperial Guard regiments, they drop them in these drop ships. Okay. And that's where I first learned about the little dune buggies, right? Because they described the Taurus Venators as this multi-wheeled desert vehicle that they could pile the sisters in and drive them out across the dunes and stuff. And it was very evocative of, you know, what this vehicle was. And so I went and looked it up on the internet, and Forge World had made them, but they were out of production. And so I waited and waited, and eventually they finally put them out for Necromunda in plastic. Cause I was thinking about, well, I'm going to have to sculpt one of the, you know, or kit bash it, or, you know, some kind of a thing. Cause I thought this was a really cool little vehicle thing, you know, to build and to paint. And, so I waited long enough, and they made it for me. And it's like, I didn't have to, you know, but
You didn't have to sculpt it.
yeah,
They
but
helped you out.
exactly. But the thing about it is that it could be anything like that, because, I had come up with a bunch of like rocket bike designs back when I was in the like 8th grade like in middle school,
Mm-hmm.
because in the Han Solo books that Brian Daley wrote, they talked about these swoops, and they were like,
Oh, yeah.
and I don't know if you remember the swoops in that story where they're basically speeder bikes
Yeah.
before there were speeder bikes in the movies, right? They were in this book. And I
Right.
thought, oh, like motorcycle things. That's a cool idea. And as a kid, it's like, well, that's the first that I had heard of something like that. And so then it kind of stuck, it's like, oh, well, that's a cool idea. And so I was inspired by that story. And even though later on, stuff showed up like, Eldar jet bikes and the speeder bikes in, Return of the Jedi and in these other things, that still, that inspiration still sticks with you. So, I kind of went back to those ideas that I had when I was a kid from that story. And that's, what I was doing with the rocket bikes that I made, for counterblast.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's what I was getting ready to ask you was if any of those,
Yeah,
designs or ideas that you had as a kid, did any of that kind of trickle through into the rocket bikes that we have? So.
Yeah, see, that's the kind of stuff that I carry around in my head for like 45 years, and not what kind of a router did I buy last October.
Yeah, it's like, okay, that's the stuff that stays, and not this other stuff.
Yeah, and then, because that's the fun stuff. The fun stuff needs to stay. The other stuff I can make notes on. So, yeah. So looking at other sources of inspiration, it's like looking at stuff within our...
Well, before you get away from that, but because like the second edition Warhammer Fantasy Battle book, Skaven book,
right.
See, it doesn't really go, they just had like this little blurb about, the about Skaven Blight and the Bell Tower.
Are you talking about the Black Ark?
Yeah, and then they talk about the Black Ark, and then we did our own Screaming Bell with the Black Ark, which was like the Ark of the Covenant from Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And then we put the rats going across.
Yeah, I'd made a little box.
It was awesome.
And the rats that I put on...
We're gonna have to find we're gonna have to find that and get pictures.
It's still packed, so we have it. It's in one of the boxes. I think it's in the attic with the other stuff. But the rats on that, because it's like on the Ark of the Covenant, you've got the two seraphim right that are facing each other. And so there were these little plastic rats that came in Hero Quest, I think was what it was. And you put it on some of the little scenery pieces.
Right.
And so I got two of those facing each other.
Put two of them rats on the top.
Yeah. And then it was all painted gold.
Yeah.
And then
there's warp storm inside it.
Yeah. The lid was open and you could see the warp stone in there. Yeah. And it was on the front of this big carriage. No. It was carried, because I was thinking, well, it's a Black Ark. Right. So we got
we had the 4 rat ogres.
Rat ogres, yeah.
And you did 2 rat ogres on each side.
Right.
And they're carrying it on, because it has these huge poles that run along the side of it, and they've got the Skaven banners hanging off.
Right.
And so it's like a platform. Mm-hmm. And
it's like a palanquin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought of that.
Had the gray seer guy that's holding the dagger up above his head.
Right. And because it was a Black Ark, I thought, well, it should be carried like a palanquin, like with poles, like like they carried the Ark of the Covenant around.
Right.
And the rat ogres were posed in a way that one of their arms was up in the air, like over their head in a fist, and you could just drill right through that.
Right.
And put, if you had one in front of the other, like ranked up,
right,
you could put that pole through on each, and then on each side. So it was using what we had,
and then I got that school bell, and we took the handle off, and we made the screaming bell.
Right? Yeah, and made a big wooden Skaven symbol and put on there. And, yeah, we'll have to get pictures of that stuff.
Yep, that stuff was awesome.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, see those So that's also one of the things that's within the hobby. Like, if you're reading your codex or your army book,
Right.
or, any lore that you come across, like, you read novels, or even if it's not within the hobby, even if it's outside of the hobby, you can still be inspired by, vivid descriptions or disassociated ideas. That's like, oh, that's cool over here, but I'm going to do it like this, or I'm going to
Right.
make
I'm
this
going to
kind
take
of a
that
thing.
and do something a little different. So,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, that was a fun project working on that Skaven stuff.
Yeah.
And you still wanted to do the bell tower.
The bell tower. Yeah,
Yeah.
I still want to do the bell tower, which that's if if I do it the way I'd like to do it, it'd take a while, but it'd be really cool though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe if maybe I'll get started on it, and then by the time I get it finished, we'll have somewhere to put it.
Right. Right.
Where we can have it sitting out for
On
people
display.
to
Yeah. Yeah.
get some shelving or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that'd be cool. Cause I want to do like rat gargoyles coming off of it, and then we have the bell ringer guy, and
It's like a Quasimodo rat.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to do a Quasimodo rat. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
And then it'd have like warp lightning like arcing up the sides of it, and stuff.
Yeah.
So it'd be pretty neat.
Yeah. I think that would be fun. That'd be cool. And we could also do some 3D scenery too, looking at that. To where, we could print it out on filament printers and stuff. We were looking at some of the terrain that's coming in the City of Ash box set, and thinking about, well, how could we supplement this with other terrain pieces of almost Mordheim like, where they're, destroyed things.
Because it's ruined and broken down. And
right. But in the Skaventide, is it Skaventide that was the box set? Yeah. Yeah. In that promotional video for it, I guess that was Embergard, where like the city
there's
of
like the
Skavenblight had erupted through that, and like there were these big spires and towers that had broken through, and the little Sigmar guys were like, oh no, they were running around and trying to defend the city, and there's all of this Skaven stuff breaking through into that realm, and I thought that was cool looking, and that would be a really awesome terrain set, to do that's that kind of look, where
I have
there's
to go
like,
back and look at that.
yeah, where there's like there's buildings, there's medieval fantasy style buildings, but then they're broken apart with all of this Skaven type of not really architecture, but it's whatever they've cobbled together. It's kind of forcing its way through that stuff.
It's coming up from the
realm.
underburrow.
Yeah, or whatever it's called. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
The underblight.
Right. Another source of inspirational things is like just real world things. Okay. For example, like historical influences, or, stuff that you see at a museum, or even like archival photos. And so that was kind of important to me when we were looking at stuff for doing the aesthetic things for Counterblast, and I know that for Hissington Ridge, you've been looking at inspirational things from a lot of Western style things. And
I actually have been Googling like ghost towns and stuff.
Right.
And I kind of would like to do like a research little excursion trip to go to some of these ghost town places and take pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's kind of scary. Because some of them are like, oh, this is kind of, be careful. And it's like, okay, are there like really ghosts there?
Yeah.
But, I don't know. But, yeah, so, but.
Well, you could write it off as a research trip. See, that's,
Well, it would be a research trip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be kind of, but I think it'd be cool to do that. It's like,
Right.
go check that out. And,
Yeah, because experiencing that firsthand
yeah,
is when you're in the environment and you're in the setting and you're looking at that, you can be inspired by,
yeah.
well, otherwise I wouldn't have
And it
come up with
helps
this
your art.
idea exactly. It's
Right.
like I wouldn't have thought of that if I hadn't been in this situation,
Right.
feeling or experiencing this experience or whatever. And so,
And that can, influence your creative expressions. So,
right.
yeah.
Right. And so that's also really good fuel for
Mhm.
coming up with ideas and that. And I think part of that too is the mindset. Like if you go into a situation where I don't want to be here, I don't want to experience this, or you're doing a thing that you don't want to do, you can actually turn that around and try to have the attitude that let me experience this and see what inspiration I get from it,
Yeah.
and try and find a thing in it that, oh, I never thought of that, or I learned a thing, or I saw something that I didn't know existed, and that can be an inspiration that's unexpected. That's always the
Absolutely.
most fun for me when I find myself in situations like that where, I can find inspiration in things that out of situations that I may not have, even if you're going to the grocery store, it's like, I've got to go do errands or I got to do this thing. But look, there's a fire hydrant with like all this cool rust and stuff on it that, in a color that I didn't think,
Yeah.
right.
I want to put that rust effect on, this
Yeah.
robot I'm painting
Yeah.
or these vehicles or whatever.
Right. Even just sitting in the car, like if you're
Yeah.
sitting in traffic and then the truck next to you may be this, like a work truck or some kind of like delivery, kind of a thing that
Yeah.
it's got rust or something on it. And that may inspire, it may be a different color that you thought, oh, well, that's this orange color or something, but it's got this weathering on it that I wouldn't expect to see. And that can inspire you to try a new technique or try a new process or something like that you wouldn't ordinarily, think about unless you just, find yourself in that situation. So I always try to look for those opportunities, when I'm in those situations to be inspired by stuff like that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good habit to get into.
Thanks. Another source could be, and we talked about this a little bit, was like art or illustration. And that's, that would be like classical painters, either fantasy and sci-fi artists, or concept art. Okay. So,
Well, and like we were talking earlier, talking before the podcast, those, I can't remember their name, but they had a podcast not a podcast, but a video where they were painting their minis
oh, okay.
based on magic cards.
Right.
They
Okay.
were like
That was Mountainside Hobbies.
Mountainside. Okay.
Right. And it's
Yeah.
the Canadian Kill Team guys.
Yeah.
Okay. And so they had a video where, and I guess they were inspired by Ninjon's like color cards.
Yeah.
That he's doing.
And he was inspired by that color cube thing.
The Australian artist that she put those color cubes together, which we have,
Right.
and I noticed there's a bunch of other YouTubers that have them.
You see him
Okay.
in the background now.
Yeah, because I guess Ninjon had found it and he did a video on that, and then people
Yeah, and
bought
he
'em.
contacted her, and then he did his deck of cards,
Right.
a deck of colors.
Yeah.
and-
So what they did was they went directly to their own little magic cards because it's got art on it,
yeah,
and then just
I
picked
love
out the
a
colors.
lot of the art.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then they went through that process, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's not a bad idea. I was like, hey, that's kind of a cool idea, but we got the color cube, and
Yeah.
and I've actually used it, and I used it painting those rocket bikes.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
So as well as some other things. So
Yeah.
I've found it very useful.
Yeah, that's cool.
I kind of like doing that to
Yeah.
kind of help limit limit the color palette, because I'm really bad about going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, okay. And so here's the thing on that same topic. Okay. Right. Looking at classical painters. Okay. Because, you hear all this stuff about the Zorn palette, right? And the Zorn palette is a limited palette that, Anders Zorn, it wasn't Renaissance. It was later than that. I want to say 1800s or so. It may have been earlier. I don't know. I have to check the dates. But the thing about it is that he painted like his portraits and these other things using a very limited palette. There was like, ivory and it's like a scarlet type red and yellow ochre and Payne's gray. So there's just these 4 or 5 colors in it. Okay, and then later after that, okay. Because that's like an art history thing. It's like you learn about this Zorn palette that that he painted with.
See, you're saying Zorn, and I'm having Watership Down flashbacks. So
what's Zorn and Watership Down?
It's Captain Holly shows up and he's saying, "Oh, Zorn," because the Warren was destroyed.
Oh, okay.
So it was like a catastrophe.
Oh, okay. So it's like a phrase.
Yeah, and
okay.
when you said Zorn, I was like, "Oh, all dead. Oh, Zorn." I was like, "Oh
yeah,
my
gosh."
Right.
Yeah, no, two different sources
Two very
on that.
different things.
Yeah. But this palette, okay, it's like a well-known art technique, okay?
Yeah.
So whenever John Blanche's art started to become very popular during, the implementation of, the early Warhammer stuff, people were saying, "Oh, well, he's drawing on the old masters, using the Zorn palette because he's got like a lot of these vibrant, reds and yellows and stuff in it and these cool colors, or, it's all a very limited palette, but he's using it very effectively to get this kind of a look." And so it was funny because like a few years ago when they interviewed him about, hey, Army Painter, they wanted him to do the paint set. And so he was like, "Well, you're coming at me with like Zorn palette." He's like, "I didn't even know what that was." It's like, so he was using it intuitively.
Yeah. He
already knew.
He just had an innate sense of
exactly in his head of like, this is what I want to see. And these things go together and, and all this. And it's yeah. And that's because, what works then also works now,
Yeah.
so he was inspired by that and didn't even know it.
Right.
Right. So
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So, you can look at some of these classical things like you're talking about.
So you can be inspired and not even know you're being inspired.
Exactly. Isn't that funny?
It is.
Yeah. So I find, that, I can either manufacture that, like, I'm actively searching for, I want a thing to inspire me, so I'll go to, and that's also our thing of like, where do you look for your inspiration? Is that there's all these sources, like we talked about movies and TV and there's these, those sort of things, but there's also, what is it? Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, right? So, because you've been inspired to do stuff by YouTube, by watching, other creators.
Oh, yeah,
okay?
absolutely.
So I find that whenever I'm scrolling through Instagram, just looking at like what other people are doing, there's 2 ways to look at that. And I hear a lot of backlash.
I know how it makes me feel.
Right. Okay. Well, that's what we're talking about.
It's
okay.
Intimidating.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So there's one, because like I said, there's 2 things. The first one is the intimidation, right? Because you scroll through that and you see like, oh, well, here, look at all these golden demon entries and the thing. And then you start to compete with, well, my stuff doesn't look like that stuff. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
But the more productive attitude to that would be, yeah, but what colors did they use? Hey, I saw that they did this thing a certain way and I want to try that. So that's what the inspiration is. The inspiration in looking at Instagram is not to like make you feel bad about what your stuff looks like or where it is, but to inspire you to try the next thing, to look at, oh, I haven't tried painting with a limited palette.
Right.
Maybe I should try that.
Yeah.
Maybe I should try this,
Yeah.
or
No, I get that. That's
Yeah.
a me problem.
Oh,
Looking
well,
at that stuff and being intimidated, that's a me problem.
that's not just a you problem. And
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast, is to talk about, it's like, well, these are the things that we experience. And I know that there's other people out there in the hobby space that are also experiencing the thing,
Yeah.
and so, because I see a lot of commentary, comments or, oh, well, I wish my stuff looked like, and I'll never be able to paint like those Golden Demon, winners and all this kind of, and that's not the point of it. The point of it is to look at these things and see like, oh, they were inspired to do a thing and this is the level that they're at, but I'm just as inspired to do a thing. And this is the level that I'm at. And it doesn't matter. It's the point that you're doing the thing.
Right.
Right.
And here's the thing that I think about to myself that kind of helps me, even though I get intimidated by, oh my gosh, that's awesome. There's no way I could ever do something like that. But here's the thing. And I think there's truth in this too. It's like, well, I don't think people can like do something that somebody else is doing, like to copy it exactly. I mean, that may be possible, but I mean, the point is do your thing.
Right.
Because nobody else can do your thing.
Right.
So, I mean, I know people are like, oh, you do you. And it's like, well, yeah.
Yeah. And see, I've known other people that were aspiring to be comic book artists. And there were comic book artists when I was reading comic books back in the day that I liked. Oh, I like their style. I like the way that they draw things. I like the way their characters are designed, these kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always this push, or there's always this insistence that, oh, I've got to draw my stuff so that it looks like that. Like I'm trying to mimic these other artists or try to capture their style. And I understand that, motivation, because one of the ways to learn stuff is to try to replicate what you see. So whenever I started sculpting, traditionally back using, green stuff and these other things, I would look at the Jess Goodwin sculpts and look at what I liked. And, because I took inspiration from his Eldar and some of those designs. And I noticed this is the way that he sculpts hands. And this is the way that when he does boots, this is the way they're shaped, or this is the way he does pouches, and tried to figure out, okay, well, if I put this shape on there and then I cut into it.
Because that's what I do with drawing. Because I look at other people's work that I like, and I think this is very common.
Yeah.
And you redo, you try to draw what you see and redraw things and whatever. But the thing is, doing that, you start learning to deconstruct, well, how did they do this?
Right.
How did they build this? How did they construct this? And then the more you do that, the more you kind of learn how to construct things yourself.
Right.
And then you help your own art.
Yeah. And these are the, fundamental, that were the foundation, that you want to build your stuff on, because, so for example, we were talking about cartoon styles earlier. Okay. There's, Bloom County, and then there's, Calvin and Hobbes, and, and these other, and even like a tight line style like Charles Schultz had, with the Peanuts. Okay. It's very simple, consistent line. Some of this other stuff is inked with a brush, and it's got a different look to it. Okay. So once you understand, well, this is what people look like, then you can start to stylize, and there's this core structure in it.
Right.
That still reads right, even though it's stylized. But if you start like I'm trying to replicate this style, and you you know, that's the style that you're chasing. It's kind of a copy of a copy in a way.
Right.
So even though I like a thing, the thing that I'm going to make is not going to look like the thing that I like. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, because you're taking the core structure of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're putting your spin on it.
Right. Right.
So you're kind of taking the essence of that style
Yeah.
and putting your own,
Yeah.
your own mark on it.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to work for.
Yeah. And to me that even goes back to, like, I've heard or I've read an interview with, like, Eddie Van Halen at one point where they asked him, it's like, well, who was the most influential guitarist, for you? And he said Eric Clapton. And that's a strange thing, because when you listen to Eric Clapton and you listen to Eddie Van Halen, they're completely different things.
Yeah.
Right. But he was inspired by that, but yet he took the stuff that he liked in whatever the structure of, the way that, the chords were, the solos, or these things.
Yeah. And then he made it his own.
And then he did his own stuff with it, where it's like, well, there's this blues foundation underneath all of it, but then there's this, and then there's that.
Yeah.
So that I find that really fascinating, because I can be inspired by a thing, and I can see a thing and it's like, oh, that's really cool. And I can enjoy that for what it is. But then when I make stuff, it's still my own thing.
Right.
It doesn't look like that, even though it's inspired by it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of like that exercise in art class or whatever, where it's like, okay, everybody's gonna, draw this apple or paint this apple.
Right.
And it's like, well, everybody is looking at the same apple.
Yeah.
But then all the pictures are different.
Right.
So that's because of the individual
Mm-hmm.
and what they bring.
Right.
So
Right.
that's cool.
And I think it would be even more interesting to see if there wasn't any limitation on medium or technique, to where if you did that, where you, okay, well, I'm going to put an apple on a table, and then I'm going to put 10 artists in this room and say, okay, draw this. And then to see, well, like, one of them is, it's rendered in this gradient pencil, very realistic, photorealistic or hyper realistic effect, all the way down to, this is a very stylized cartoon drawing of the apple, and that whole spectrum.
You could do that with a miniature.
Yeah.
You could give everybody the same miniature
Mm-hmm.
and say, paint that miniature.
Yeah.
And you could even say, hey, everybody has to use the same limited palette or something.
Right.
But they would all look different.
They would all be different. Yeah.
They would all look different.
Yeah.
So
That's
cool.
That is a cool thing.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the reasons why I like, sponsoring the speed paint things at conventions, because that's the exact type of thing that happens. And to look at,
It's like, here's what everybody did.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Right. That's really amazing. So, the only other thing that I have is outside influences on inspiration. Okay. So, the notes that I have on here are cosplay, scale, or RC modeling, or folklore and mythology. It's like, these are all outside of the hobby, So, and when we were talking about that before, when you're talking about movies and TV, I kind of think, well, most of the movies and TV that I watch are kind of hobby related in a way, because it's either sci-fi or fantasy or whatever, a lot of the genre stuff that I watch is like that. But, what kinds of things are outside of the genre of the different games or different, hobby things that we play, or models that we produce, that would be inspirational? And so there again, looking at cosplay stuff. Okay. It's just, taking that for example.
Mm-hmm.
I used to follow cosplayers on one of my Instagram accounts where I would see, because they would show crafting videos of, okay, well, here's how I'm cutting into this EVA foam with like a soldering iron to do textures and to do these things. And they would make armor, and some of that was it was pretty amazing to me at how once it was fabricated, it didn't look like foam anymore at all. I was really amazed by a lot of the crafters that could take a piece of EVA foam and make it look like a piece of armor.
Yeah, I was pretty amazed by that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, that looks like real
It looks like real armor. And
It's like,
yeah. Now, and some of it, granted, is more effective than others,
right.
you know. But some of the stuff that I saw was really convincing. I mean, even down to like chainmail and some other stuff. It looked pretty interesting. So when I looked at that stuff, I was looking for, what is it that you're doing in your painting process that's fooling me into thinking that that's not the material that's actually made out of. Because that's basically what we're doing when we're painting miniatures.
Yeah.
Because this is a plastic model.
Right.
But yet I'm painting wood or cloth.
Or fur or metal or yeah, all kinds of different textures and
right. So I'm trying to represent these materials on a material that's not that.
right.
You know? So it's trying to fool the eye into believing, you know, or allowing you to suspend your belief, you know, in what that is. And so to me, that was very fascinating. I was, you know, like, why is that cool looking, you know? And it's because it's so well painted, or it's so, you know, so well crafted that it's convincing, you know, that it's this other thing. And that's just one example. But I mean, that's a way to take inspiration, you know, from outside of, you know, what you're normally looking at or what you're normally doing. And so there again, looking for those opportunities to find, you know, that inspiration in, you know, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
So were there any other thoughts about inspiration that you wanted to add on to that before we wrap up this episode?
Well, I have a question for the folks listening.
Okay.
Like, what kinds of things do they find you know, where do they find inspiration, or where do they like to look for inspiration for, you know, their miniature painting or dioramas that they want to work on, or, you know, terrain they want to build, or what other, you know, any other hobby stuff. So
yeah, I'd be very interested to find that out too. So yeah, if you guys want to post in the comments and share your sources of inspiration, that would be really cool for us.
you may have stuff that we haven't mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, so you never know.
Yep.
So, what have you got coming up on your hobby calendar for this coming week?
I don't know. Probably more sketching.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep working away at that, and I don't know. I may start working on some terrain or a diorama thing.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Well,
I don't know.
So has our talk about that inspired you to?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that we didn't mention is like, is conversations. just talking to another creative individual can inspire you,
can encourage you
to do stuff and try something that you haven't, or formulate an idea. It's like Kenny says, like your brother always mentions, like, I have an idea forming in my brain.
Oh my gosh.
So,
my brother does not talk like that.
Not
normally anyway.
Not always. No, it's like,
Okay.
he only puts on that when he quotes whatever that comes from. If you know where that quote is from, put that
Is
down
it
in the comments too.
Blackadder?
I don't think so.
No?
No,
Okay.
it
I'm
predates
thinking of
that
something else.
somehow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
So anyway, we're hoping that our podcast has inspired you this week to try something new and to look at different opportunities for your hobbying adventure.
There you go.
So that's going to be it for us today, and we will see you on the podcast next week.
Y'all take care out there.
Bye now.
Bye.